Hi, my name is Anastasia Pierce. This is a little presentation on Nearpod and Quizlet for my EDF 204 web and app presentation. Both Nearpod and Quizlet are both websites and apps, but I chose Nearpod for my website and Quizlet for my app. Here are the URLs and the links. The Nearpod, I prefer to use it as a website just because the bigger formatting is easier for me to have it on a bigger screen. And Quizlet, I actually prefer on like a tablet or a phone, just because you don't need quite as much space to get it. It's not quite as detailed as Nearpod can get. And for both of these websites and apps, we're going to be covering Shakespeare, specifically Macbeth, and the context around it for high school English. So let's get started. So Nearpod is sort of like an online version of PowerPoint, just a bit more interactive, actually a lot more interactive, where you can not only have your basic slides with your basic information and bullet points and pictures as you normally would in a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation. You can also include assessments, quizzes, there's matching, there's polls, there's collaborative, there's all kinds of different features. You can also include links to videos and things like that. It's really interactive, and to me, I personally like that because it's good in or out of the classroom, inside the classroom, if you maybe have a sub, or maybe it's just a day where you feel like this is something the kids need to do on their own pace, or out of the classroom, whether for NTI days or just for students to do on their own time to just cover the information at their own pace. And I think that is a big takeaway for this, is at their own pace. You can set it as a pre-recorded lesson, but it has the student pace option, and to me that's just it works wonders for students who maybe feel left behind in average lectures, or maybe they feel they're ahead of the average lecture and they would like to, take the information in their own time and in their own way. So here I have, right here is the main page. If you type in Nearpod or you follow the link, this is what you would see for teachers. It has its own special section. You can also learn more about how they use it in schools and districts. So if your entire school uses it, maybe, it's very interesting to look into. And up here, I put, they have on their website different sections to talk about college and career exploration, digital citizenship and literacy, and all these other very important topics. They have both pre-made Nearpods for it and just general information on it, and I thought that was really neat. I like how they say close the opportunity gap. I think that's basically what this does. Instead of letting students fall behind just because they don't have the same opportunities or maybe the same learning style as others, you get to let them have kind of a freedom to decide how they want to learn. So for my mini lesson topic, I specifically chose Shakespeare and the context of Macbeth for this Nearpod, just because I feel like this is something that's not quite so imperative to be learned in class, to take a full class period to learn, but I do think it is important and interesting for students who are reading Shakespeare and specifically Macbeth to just know some of the topics on hand. And for this lesson, they would be understanding and applying the context, making inferences, and using critical thinking. So over in the corner, I have some of these screenshots to kind of show you what I'm talking about with this. For example, I had a open-ended question that takes some inference skill, just because it was just a little factoid over here on the presentation, and just sort of, there's no wrong answer, just kind of like a, what do you think kind of question, which I think would be very important for the students to kind of cover their information. And then we have our basic presentation slide right here with your, average bullet points. I could add pictures if you want to or anything like that, but, just your run-of-the-mill slide. And then there is a little quiz mini questionnaire. I only put 2 questions just to kind of go over and make sure the information's stuck, and they kind of know what's the more important information they definitely need to remember. And so again, as I said, this is at the student's pace. So the student very much is in control of when they click the slide, when they take the quiz. The quizzes are not timed, so they can kind of think about it. You can go back, but it restarts your quiz. So it's just preferable that they do it, without looking back, but if they need to, they can. And you can have it graded, or it can just be a general assessment to make sure they understand the information, and if you need to go over it in class or at another time. You can include a video and aid. I didn't include a screenshot because I felt a screenshot of a video was redundant, but I included a video on that just was some other educator talking about the context of Shakespeare. Real short, but interactive and fun, that they also get to watch at their own pace. Stop and pause it if they need to take notes, go back and re-listen to something, because watching videos in class can sometimes go by too fast and the students may not be able to get all the information out of it, whereas on their own time they can definitely scroll back and forth, pause as they need to, and just make sure that they get the information. And I already spoke about assessments. Like I said, they can be graded, they can be open-ended questions, they can be polls, just to gauge student understanding or interest. At the end of this Nearpod, I actually did include an open-ended question asking what are you looking forward to the most in reading Macbeth, because this is supposed to be before we would get into reading, and I just felt that that's something that's much less graded and just more, how do I say it? It's more just for me to, as an educator, to know what topics maybe would be more interesting for the students, and also how are my students interested in this topic, and if not, what can I do to make them interested in this topic. But you can do a variety of assessments in Nearpod. So how does this support the students' use of tech? As I said, it is completely student-paced, and it's very easily accessible. Like I said, it is both a website and an app. So if all the student has is a cell phone, they can use a cell phone. If all they have is a laptop or a desktop or whatever, they can use that. It assesses the student understanding of content through various ways, both graded, ungraded, and again, all student-paced, so they're not pressured through tests, and they're also not overly relaxed. If you just kind of told them to write whatever they feel, you can kind of direct their answers a little bit. For students performing at grade level, meets their needs pretty averagely. It's not something so exceptional, so out of the ordinary that it's wow, for the average student. It's just more of an interesting twist and a more fun twist. I think it would lend more into pacing. Students with exceptionalities, again, it is student-paced, so for students who might need more time to reread or review the information, they absolutely can. They can go back and look over the videos, take tests and assessments again, and the assessments can track their understanding. So if you are curious about a specific child, whether they understood it or not, if you need to go back and look, or really any child, those assessments can really tell you, okay, this is something that may need to be gone over again, or maybe I need to word it better or something like that. So it really helps you keep track of that understanding. And now the one thing I did not like is I couldn't find any read aloud or alternative features for the Nearpods. It didn't seem like they had anything along the lines of alternative text or language features. It feels pretty much what you put on there is what's on there. But that does give you the ability as the educator to just create a similar one meeting the students' needs if you know the students' needs. More simple or more clear language, or maybe more visual aids or less visual aids. Or if you wanted to put more videos, you could possibly do that. So I guess that would be more up to the educator. I just wish that it was an included feature, or that they had a few included features. For students who are gifted, again, it allows them to go at their own pace. So if they're like, I already know this, then they can kind of breeze through those slides instead of having to sit through a lecture and be bored out of their minds. And then they can take the quizzes and really see if they know the information. If they do, awesome. And again, if they feel they need to slow down and maybe go back and go over something, they are absolutely able to. And students with an ELL, English as a second language, English language learners background. Again, I said there's no alternative language option. So if you have maybe a native Spanish speaker in your classroom, you may offer an alternative Spanish version that you make yourself, but it does not come in the website. All right. So Quizlet, again, is both a website and an app, but I chose it for my app just because I like the formatting better. It's pretty straightforward. It is mainly known for quizzes, assessments, and study guides. So you can have graded quizzes, or they can be non-graded, but more of like interactive, almost like a Kahoot style. And you can have graded assessments, so they are like legit quizzes. And study guides, which I think is the most commonly used as far as students go, whether they see other study guides students have made, or they make their own just to cover information. They're really useful that way because the students can make them themselves if they have a Quizlet. But you as the educator can make them for your students in any way, shape, or form you like. You can organize them by class, so you can make a whole folder specifically for your class, for like your English 1 class, or your 6th, 7th, 8th grade class, however you want to do it. You can organize it by them, so that way they can find the information they need and not just be searching blindly. And it's not just a straight up quiz. There's matching, there's flashcards, writing, tests. There's one called Gravity, which is almost like a little fun game. So there's various ways you can do it, and that's mainly for study guides, but you can also do it for tests. And it is available on Apple, Android, Google. You can use it on your laptop. Again, I said it's a website as well. So, it's pretty easily accessible for anyone who has any form of technology. For the mini lesson topic, I also went over Macbeth, this time focusing more on characters and a little bit of the context. The objectives would be to show and gain comprehension. I kind of made it where I didn't put it as graded yet, so it's almost a study guide right now, or a pre-quiz kind of deal. But it can be graded to gauge student understanding and comprehension of the topic. And just study guide. I really like it as a study guide because I think it's very interactive and very visual, and students can pick the format they like and kind of go at their own pace to make sure that they're reviewing the information and not just having it launched at them. So I think that's really neat. So you see that I have multiple choice. This is in quiz mode. This is a flashcard. And then here it shows you when you first open up the set, it'll just show you kind of a list of all the questions, so you kind of get a review right off the bat. And how does this support the students' use of tech? Again, I said it's easily accessible. You can get it on any app store and any computer as a website, and it is student-paced, and it's very varied, very varied. It's students can have whatever kind of formatting they need or like, instead of just a straight up quiz, which some students kind of get more anxious or nervous around. It can be fun like the Gravity or matching, or it can be even a written quiz for those who prefer to write out their thoughts. So it's diversified for different learners. It assesses student understanding of content. Even if you don't have it graded, you can still see the student answers. And so they can, if it's done through your classroom folder, and that way you can know, okay, are they getting the information or not? Again, students at grade level, it meets their needs. In fact, most students use Quizlet, usually from high school up into college. I know I've used it a lot. It's very, very helpful. Students with exceptionalities, again, student pace allows for students to reread and review the info, track understanding, and read aloud, and alternative features are available. Students who are gifted, again, can move at their own pace and just kind of use whatever format they're comfortable with. If they want more challenge, they can go with more challenging methods. And if they want more relaxed pace because they know this information, they can do that too. And there is, like I said, alternative language options and read alouds for students with ELL backgrounds. So that's it for my presentation. on my web and app presentation for EDF 204.